Club with Charlamagne the God. I got DJ Envy and Angela Yee.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's not.
Wow.
I'm dark skinned. I should be Charlamagne.
I got the light skinned person, of course.
Okay.
It is not the Breakfast
You're a
Club.
woman, so that's...
I know, man.
But shout out to the Breakfast Club, my favorite morning radio hip hop show. It's the NRW. I got my man Dalek Sek,
What's up?
Yahuvian, and of course the funny yogi himself from Level Up Comedy, my man Glenn Lawrence McDonald.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And I am Patrick Michael Strange, the captain of this ship, but it isn't the Breakfast Club, it's NRW.
It is
generally DJ Envy.
Yeah.
But I think it's Charlamagne the God. Anyway.
No, Charlamagne's he's the leader of that.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's literally.
But doesn't DJ Envy? He always says he's
co-
the captain of the ship. Though.
He's the co-captain.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Well, I mean, if you like, the genesis of the show comes from Charlamagne.
Exactly.
Like it's his show, and he brought other people on there.
That's
so
what I
it's like,
say.
It's
but
like
why does DJ Envy say he's the captain of the
he's
ship?
light skinned.
Anyway, this isn't a Breakfast Club review, although, again, I highly recommend that show. It's one of my favorite morning shows. But this is for not Captain Marvel. But at one point, you could have said it was a Captain Marvel review. It's the Shazam review. But at one time, he was Captain Marvel. But we'll get into that. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
All right. We actually, it hasn't been released in theaters, but by the time this comes out, I think we have like a week after this comes out that we'll drop this on our YouTube channel.
This is an exclusive.
Shazam will be out into theaters for the audiences, but I caught it off of Fandango Early Access. Was it the same thing?
So did I. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
VIP access.
So shout out to Fandango.
He brought me along.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out to Fandango. Yeah, he built me a computer. That there's going to be a tech review up on NRW about that. So as payment for those services, took them out to check out Shazam or whatever. You know, it's a perk. It's not Geek Squad perks, but it's a perk.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So we saw it this weekend. I saw it on Saturday. You saw it on Saturday.
I did. Yeah. I did indeed.
And all right, let's get into it a little bit. Okay, but before I forget, I don't want to forget about our wizard Shazam behind the camera, Marianne Gringus. Shout out to Gringus. So shout out to Marianne. She's the original Shazam of this ship right now, not our Angela Yee or DJ Envy. Anyway, this is our Breakfast Club on this one, man. I'm showing love. Shazam, but I want to show Shazam love. Because actually, for me, I guess I'll kick it off. I was a little nervous and not sure how this character was going to play with the rest of the DC universe and how fans, what somewhat knowledge of him, because it is a much older character in DC lore, not as popular as your Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Green Lantern. But I was blown away, and I'll get into some other stuff as we talk about this, but. I really enjoy the film, and I will say probably in my top 3 of DC films, but I will save that for later.
Okay. First of all, it's not hard to be in the top 3 of DC films. Like, if you're not in the top 3, you probably were a trash film. But I could totally see what you're saying. For me, I was very much excited about this movie. I knew that, like, from the trailer, I thought it was going to be fun. I've noticed that DC has been making better trailers, which in turn has made better movies. Like, whenever their trailer is terrible, I've been like, the movie's not going to be that good. Mm-hmm. They stick really close to, like, how good their trailer is. It tracks with the movie. This trailer, I thought it was fun. I think everybody else had a little bit of fatigue, but I was watching it, and I was expecting it to be good. I wasn't expecting to be wowed. I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. For me, it's their best comic book movie.
Okay, we didn't even get there yet, but all right.
But that's for me. Anyways, that's my initial reaction.
I was when I first saw the initial trailer, I was kind of like not too sure about it because of the look of the costume, and it just, to me, it seemed a little bit more exaggerated.
Yeah.
But that perspective changed once I did see the movie. But I will say, for the DC movies, going back to the top 3 because there are not many others to really compare it to, that I have Aquaman on the list and this so far. I liked Aquaman a bit more, but I still really enjoyed this movie.
Okay. And let's preface this with, say, the newer DC expanded universe, because we're not really accounting for the Dark Knight.
Yes.
Batman Returns, the original Batman, Superman with Christopher Reeve. We're talking about Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, Wonder Woman. We're putting it in that phase, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you say? Would you guys want to say that? Because I think if we add in those other DC films, then that would actually change my lineup for top 3 DC. films.
It wouldn't change mine. I think they did a lot in this film.
Okay.
I thought it was exceptional. It was really, really fun, and they basically did the heroes arc to a T.
Okay. Well, let's actually break down a little bit of the story of this
go.
film before we get into more of the particulars.
I'm with it.
All right. So for the uninitiated, producer.
Are we doing spoilers first?
Okay. Hashtag spoilers.
Spoilers. Just jump right into spoilers.
We're gonna throw that out.
Let's just do it. Shazam! Okay.
Say the word. Say the word. Shazam! Okay. For the uninitiated, Billy Batson is a youth who was runaway. Actually, it wasn't really a runaway in this film because again, it's a different origin story.
Yeah.
He kind of was left alone in a crowd from his mother became an orphan, running the streets, was in and out of foster homes. He eventually ends up into this awesome home ran by one of the Walking Dead members, which I really enjoyed seeing my Samoan brother from The Walking Dead running this home that has a lot of different nationalities within it as well, which I really loved.
Nice to see.
Because it was very whitewashed back in the day. So to see some other people within the force, and very realistic, because there is a lot of us in that sad situation. So finds himself into this new home with a bunch of great kids and a great family. To me, it would have been awesome.
A lot of love
to be in. Yeah, a lot of love.
I love the little girl. She was so sweet.
Oh my goodness. She stole the show. She was amazing.
So
she was so cute.
Nice little black girl who was awesome. Who again, I think we all fell in love with. Who wanted to call her brother.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really receptive to that because he's still kind of
standoffish. I screamed out he was a dick. He was a dick.
You're a dick, Billy Batson.
Dick.
Man. Another one of the kids was who I was really happy to see, Chen from Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah,
I love
that little Asian boy.
Little Asian boy's Chen.
Dude. Yeah.
Really heavy gamer and really played well into some other scenes later, which we'll get into. And I know you probably appreciated it as a gamer. So he was one of the kids, then newcomer and this young Hispanic boy who was in there. And then you had Mary Marvel, kind of like the older sister who's getting ready to go to college. Yes. So a really cool Marvel family, kind of taking some of those archetypes, changed up the races, and just a really cool bunch of kids. And I have to say, I think it was Asher, I forgot the name, I think his first name's Asher, was the young Billy Batson. Really good young actor.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
My daughter recognized him from some Nickelodeon show that she was a fan of. And she was like, okay, Asher Angel. Shout out to Asher Angel. Really good job, young actor.
All of them.
Yeah.
The ensemble cast was amazing, but it started out with the villain.
Oh,
Mark
I went too fast.
Okay.
Shout out. Go ahead.
Mark
Bring
Strong,
the origin
right?
then.
Is that his name?
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong was the villain.
But the young kid, too, was really good.
Yeah, and then the young kid who started all out. And that was the key indicator to me that it was probably going to be a good movie, because they started out with some backstory of where the villain came from, what drives him, what drove him. So you get to see that. And then from there, now you're into the fun, because you're like, oh, okay, this isn't just some random bad guy who's trying to destroy the world. We see it. We see the hurt of him as a kid, waiting for that moment where he can be. So anyways, what happens is, he's driving with his parents or whatever. He sees something. We were late because we were building that computer, so we kind of missed.
Oh, you missed a little bit.
We missed a little bit of the beginning.
Okay.
But basically, he distracts his dad. His dad gets injured really badly, but he was trying to tell him something about this orb or something. You could probably talk about the beginning. But anyways, he is injured while looking for something and spends his whole life searching for that thing.
And they treated him, apparently, they treated him like crap, so he was more like the redheaded stepchild, quote unquote.
He was bitter, and he grows up bitter, but then when he actually gets his power, after being bitter all those years, now he exacts his revenge, right? And during that period, that's where the wizard is looking for his champion so that he can battle the forces of evil, those 7 deadly sins, and he can't find them because there's no one worthy in the world. So what do you do when no one is worthy? You turn to a good-natured, little wholesome...
Which is a very interesting point that you brought up, because if you remember the interaction with him, and when he met Shazam, he was giving him the whole spiel and whatnot about the powers, and that he has to pass them on. and Billy was like, I'm not worthy. I mean, I don't know if anybody is.
Yeah.
And he made the same point that the villain made, because when he came to get the powers, he knew exactly what his goal was, and he was like, I'm doing this for me. You know, this is my purpose, and he just, you know, that's when the seven deadly sins basically chose him as the champion. So that was a interesting thing.
And like you're saying, that's great to put all of that inside of a villain. I keep slapping the table because I'm like, damn, this movie was good. But then to put all of that in a villain, and then you're introduced to your hero, who is a wayward child who's going off, acting out, stealing police cars, all that type of thing.
Oh, that was funny.
But not in service to himself, in service to searching for the thing that he's been looking for his whole life, which is his mom, which you can identify with. He's a little jerk, but he's doing it because of that hurt that he experienced from a child. There's a lot of hurt that people are experiencing from a child that drives them forward. And I think that helps drive the movie, and it really drove the emotional thread in this film.
So Billy meets up with this other kid who he really gets into. Hold on. Producer from the side. What's up, Marianne?
So I just want to say, I just want to ask, how important was it in the movie to see that? Because
vitally.
Because, the first hurt child that I think we always default to is Bruce Wayne with the shooting of his parents. Mm-hmm. But I always thought it was sort of interesting because we don't see him as a child too terribly much,
Yeah, going through that hurt.
Going through that. And then with Billy, I think what I'm a little bit more fascinated by is what happens when you take away the wealth, all these things that could help somebody get over those things.
He has his own. He's actually pretty resourceful.
Yeah, he's become super resourceful.
He was like that from the beginning. He didn't need. He basically just was on his own, doing his own thing, and his agenda was to find. And from this perspective of the story, his goal was to find his mother, and he did whatever he needed to do to get to it, with or without money.
Yeah, and seeing him as a child and seeing that hurt, it shows why he's always bouncing around from home to home, because he doesn't feel like he belongs. He knows that his home is not wherever the next foster family is. He's searching for his mom. He's trying to get back to that. Now, you don't see that if you don't see him as a child missing out on his mom or being abandoned by his mom. There was also a very nice little sentiment. There's a little memento that he was given by his mom that really helps bring it together and really helps you feel that emotion of being abandoned by someone who's supposed to care for you and whatnot. So then there's that through line. So it's super important to see him as a child, and they handle it so well. They handle it with the villain very well, and then they handle it with Billy Batson very well, and it really drove the movie. It really made it interesting. And then of course, the wizard, he's looking for his champion. He's been searching there's a lot of searching. He's just been searching his whole life for a champion to take those powers so that he can help defend the Earth realm, to take those magical powers.
Before I get into my next kind of point that I want to carry this conversation to, I just realized something looking at you. I know it's weird. My man Glenn Morris.
This is how you always end up getting roasted. You know what I realized?
When I just looked at you. I'm not going to roast you, though.
Okay.
I know you're Philly proud.
That's another reason why this is like my favorite. It's set in Philly.
I just realized that.
Yeah. And from that moment,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry. As you can see,
in the DC universe, most films are fictional cities.
Right.
Gotham City, Metropolis, Coastal City that was Aquaman or whatever.
Right.
This, I think, is the first other DC. I have to go back and look.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, was the first DC film set in the real world, and instead of Fawcett City, they made, which is where Shazam lives in the DC universe. He's in fucking Philly, and he goes to Fawcett Middle School. That's where they did the Fawcett. They made the school, the original stuff, but they show love to Philly.
They show love to Philly because the Super Bowl champions.
As a Philly champ, man, from Eagles, whatever.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think being Philly?
I think also the cool thing about the Philly representation, is that it grounded it, because it's immediately. I think a problem with DC movies is that they didn't seem grounded. Yeah. They always seem like they're from some other area, some other city that you can't relate to. Like Metropolis is supposed to be like New York, and I guess Gotham's supposed to be New Jersey or something like that. So there's those parallels, but you don't actually know where that place is.
Yeah.
Here, it's grounded. You know it's Philly, so there's already a connection. So you're like, ooh, I'm really kind of feeling this world. And then you see the kid going through the hurt. So there's all of that connection that goes into the film too. And I think it was a brilliant idea for them to say, you know what, let's be real. Let's just be real with our super crazy comic book, funny, fun movie.
Yeah.
And then they were very real about it. They were real with the emotion. They were real with the place that it was. And I really think it helped drive Shazam and make it one of the best comic book movies to come out in a very long time.
We'll finish up when we wrap. So I just wanted to shout out to Philly.
Hey.
So now you understand why I'm looking at you?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Okay. That's
Why
good
does he
though.
really love this film? It's Philly, motherfucker.
I was going to say,
Okay.
like a lizard.
So yeah, great opening with telling Savannah's story, and then bringing him together at the new foster home, trying to find his mother. Another key character who we haven't discussed yet, beyond just I talked about some of the other Marvel family members, the guy that kind of plays his best friend at the home and teaches him how to be a superhero.
Yes.
Right.
And again, like Marianne was saying, like the origin, how he becomes somebody. A person that fell in love with superheroes. He was rocking an Aquaman shirt, rocking a Superman shirt, which was
they
kind
were
of real
bringing
in universe. It was kind of weird because it's like
but it's
they
cool.
actually exist in
The
these universes.
Batarang.
The
Like,
Batarang.
they're
The bullet that
So,
Superman got shot
what
with.
did you think of the relationship and how he learned how to become a superhero? I think that's real. Like if I knew a cat that had superpowers and I was a super fan, this is what you gotta do, bro.
It's a
what do you think of that?
It's a formula that I've seen before in other comic or superhero, super action related shows where you have that person who's an expert. He's like a nerd and he's expert and he's like powers because he himself or she them basically fantasize of having this ability because they were basically shunned at school or their peers basically didn't see them as one of them. They weren't a popular kid in the school. They did really well in class, but they were picked on because they were weaker and all this other stuff. They just didn't have the confidence. And in the movie, what was his name again? I'm blanking on his name.
I'm blanking. That's why I kept on
So
blanking on
the kid basically he's
Freddie.
Freddie,
Wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was Freddie.
Okay.
Don't quote us on that.
Producer to Simon, Marion, if you could help us out.
So he basically was crippled and very smart as you could tell by the knowledge he had on how to be a superhero because this is how much he loved in the idea of him not having the disability and having superpowers and being able to stand up for himself and all that. So that was very interesting how he went through all the stages of testing his powers and you see them videotaping him and then like doing all the tests that you would to try to figure out what powers you had. So he went through trial and error and then they uploaded it to YouTube and he was getting popular from that. So it was an interesting portion of it to as also a point or a way to push the story further.
Exactly.
And to see Shazam, his powers grow. So that was also an interesting angle it was the angle like I was stating from other movies that have taken, but it was really interesting. It was also very funny.
Yeah,
it was really funny.
Well, so you have your montage, right, where the superhero comes into their ability, and that's a great way to show it. Through
Coming of age.
They're making all these YouTube videos and everything, and that's your montage, that's your training sequence or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't just play lip service to it. A lot of that stuff comes back at the end of the movie,
and that's what I wanted to get to.
And their callbacks or whatever. But it was great to see it because it also gave you that little bit of, if I was a child and I had superpowers, what would I do? And they did all of the things. They went out, bought beer because it's like, oh, my dad drinks beer, okay, and then I hate this, so they just get a bunch of exactly, and that's how you felt when you were a kid, or you just buy all the video games because now you can get all the money from the ATM. Like they just did a whole bunch. You hit up the strip club because you've never seen boobies.
Oh my!
It was an amazing way to use a montage to drive the narrative forward, but then also be fun and also give us that little childlike feeling that we have all had wanting to be a superhero. What would I do if I was a superhero? What kind of powers would I use? How would I use my powers? And they did a great job of doing that.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like Del said, it was funny. I enjoyed that.
So let's get to the end where we'll actually go a little bit more. So that carried us into the final act. It was very self-aware, which I think we all really appreciated. Every character knew what it was, and kind of put the finger on heroes, and especially relationship between a hero and their non-powered family.
Yeah.
So
before that, there was the introduction of the hero to the villain.
That too.
Like that, where you actually meet someone who's got the powers and who had wanted what you had for all this time.
Yeah.
And is very much like, you don't deserve this.
Because he didn't understand how to but he was, as a kid, he didn't understand how to truly handle the powers.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he did what a kid would do, and it's this play thing. Like, I can do all of these amazing things, but what is responsibility to a kid, Until, like, it really came to the point where he really had to, like, all right, I need to stop playing around because this shit is getting serious. Yeah. But, like, when he first met the villain, he got his ass whooped. And he didn't know how to handle it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, as a kid, though, when you think about it, it's like when you get your ass whipped by your parent, it kind of changes your mindset, your outlook on a lot of things. Yeah. So he needed that ass whipping because he's been doing a lot of shitty things. And granted, it was to find his mother, but, when he had the power, when he was making that transition and he learned, it was like, oh, got you. This is not something to play around with anymore. So that was interesting to see. Again, that was like the coming of age thing. Even though like he was like 14, 15 years old, he had to like kind of accelerate and grow up and realize that, with great strength comes great responsibilities, if I said that right. But you know what I mean.
Great power.
Great power comes with
How dare you?
It's nerd card revoked.
Yeah. But some people do need their ass whipped. I feel like a lot more people need their ass whipped so they can get that, extra stuff in there.
I think all the way taken into the ending, it was like very real how people would act in these situations, in which, to our climax. So now getting to the finale.
Yeah.
Of the film, how it led to the end.
What did you guys think about that store sequence and the reference to an old movie that they made, the piano scene?
They had the big reference in there. Where he's playing the stepping on the piano. It was like, that's
during the fight.
And he during the fight backed up and he just landed on the keys, looked down, and it was just that moment. You're like, for us, because we're old. It was like, oh wow, you actually made reference to that. That is amazing, and that was like. That just immediately started bringing back nostalgia, and it was like that was cool to see.
I thought that was dope, and then I thought it was also funny when he has all the superheroes like the play toys. It's like, help me get him back in, and like I thought it was corny, but it was to me. This is so funny. It's just so
he was tossing toys at the
because he doesn't know how to use his power. He's like, none of my powers are working.
And he's never even got his ass whooped that bad.
So getting to the ending, he got his ass whooped. He learned a lot through the course of the film with his buddy. Now at the ending, he's now one-on-one Savannah, but he knows he can't do it alone. He's finally found his home. He actually already encountered his mother, had the bad interaction with spoilers. Knows that isn't his home. His home is where he's at now, or where he makes it.
But that point where where the hero is at his lowest point.
Yes.
And then it gets even lower by finding the thing that he was looking for his entire life, and it not being what he expected.
Yep.
To the point where the memento, the token that we were talking about before, the compass that he had, like his mother doesn't even recognize it, and is like, "All right, well you're good," and then goes back to her life and leaves him kind of lost. But then he gets a call that his family's in trouble, and he rushes off because he's like, you know what? I know where my place is. I got to go save my actual family. That part, started tearing up.
So tears.
Like that's why I said this is one of my favorite superhero movies, because not many of the superhero movies, I kind of rank them on like, did it make me cry? Like Guardians of the Galaxy, great movie. Spider-Man: Homecoming, great movie. Like Captain America. So those movies, there's tears there. Where, when you're watching this thing,
bro.
And this, I was like, wow, they, like, not only did they do all the fun things, had me rolling, laughing, with all the cuteness and everything, they also got my emotions going and made me, and I almost I did shed a tear.
They had onions in that.
Yeah.
So
Producer Marianne.
So I think you touched on something really important there, because in most origin stories, I think rage and vengeance is usually a driving force behind something. And I think what I'm hearing here, and what's making me look forward to this now, is it's the heartbreak. The
heartbreak.
This kid's gonna break your heart. And I just want to call back. DC did an animated short where Clark Kent is interviewing Billy, If you've never watched it, I recommend.
What?
Yeah.
Where can I find this?
It came out a couple of years ago, and
Google it.
There's a point in there where Clark is, he's befuddled by the fact that this kid is like, what makes you so good? Because he's looking around, you live in a shithole. Why are you such a good person? And I think that that's so important. I love all the heroes we have.
Yeah,
I do, but you never really get to the heartbreak of the situation. Even with Batman,
right?
The only thing we were ever allowed was the outrage that somebody shot these parents in front of this child. But you never, and there's something, and I say this as a kid who's kind of adopted herself. That's hitting on something that I think. Is really big.
It's gonna fuck you up, Marianne.
Yeah, it is.
Marianne up.
And this is why I said this is I think it's the best movie that DC has done, because you get the why behind what Billy does. Even a movie as great as Wonder Woman, there's never it's like a driving force of why they are a hero. Like, what makes them a hero? Like, that heartbreak, and then having a family and really caring for them and doing what's right, and not wanting to let them down. You can see that driving force, and that's what I think makes this one of the best superhero movies, period. Like, bar none. I think you can put Shazam up against just about any other superhero movie that's out. And it's a great origin story, and it does that. It shows you why behind the heroes. And I think even some of the other DC movies like Wonder Woman or Batman, Man of Steel did a good job of it. You kind of see that. That's why it's probably up there a little bit. But I can't rave enough about this movie. I was shocked at how much they layered into it. I'm sorry. You want to get to the end? I apologize. Let's get
it's
there.
all good. Save that for later.
Okay.
All right. The Marvel family. So we were at the ending. He couldn't beat him himself, so he realizes his new family, his actual family now, his foster family, over there, and they share the powers.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. So when at that moment he is fighting the villain, and he looks around and sees all of the people, all of the because Sylvanas has all the different sins around him. He has envy, he has wrath, he has gluttony, he has all of them, and they're personified in these demon things. And he looks around, and he's like, wow, there's 7 of them. And he's like, wait a minute, I got people with me. And then he gets them, his family, to
well, he comes to the realization, as if you've ever watched those kung fu flicks where the heroes at that moment where they thought they were about to get beaten by the villain, but then they remember that one thing their master told them or taught them, and then they're able to perform a different form or something, and get the upper hand of the villain. This similar thing happened, and he remembered something the wizard told him, but at first he wasn't ready to receive the information until that very moment, and when it registered to him, that's when he was able to get the staff and basically have his family join him, and they all
they had to say his name.
Yes.
Billy!
Which
is great writing, right? I feel like that is so great, because it's like they don't know the name to say, so it's like they grab the staff, they're like, just a great job. No! He's like, no, the other name. And then so this is ruining it for everybody else out there, but like you said, spoilers. But then once that happens, then you get the awesome part, which I didn't think they were going to be able to do. They got the Shazam Kids.
Yeah, the whole Marvel family. I was totally blown away.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that we were going to get that.
It was a turn that I was like, wow, they got everything in there.
The little girl became Megan, and
Megan
I
Good.
love me some Megan Good.
Megan Good was good.
I was totally blown away, because that cute little girl. But then she becomes Megan Good, and I'm like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
Because I love me some Megan Good. And she was rocking that purple Shazam costume.
She was hooking it up. She was fast, and she was saving the day.
Yes.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was great to see, because at that point I was already wowed, like, wow, this is a damn good superhero movie. And then to break that out, to have the nerd out.
icing
on the cake that actually works. It wasn't forced.
Not forced at all.
It actually made sense, and it actually drove the story forward even more.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't say enough about how good this film was. I was shocked. And that's why when you're like, I think Aquaman's number one, I'm like, how dare you?
So let's get to the final words then. So so you can maybe talk a little bit why Aquaman. I have a top three. Let's give our final words, and then what is your DC top three?
I think Aquaman for me, and being like more of a really heavy action junkie, I think Aquaman just hit a lot of notes when it came to like the fighting and seeing like, I guess when Jason Momoa took on the image of Aquaman, he like owned it. So it was like really impressive to see, and I enjoyed like a lot of the action. There wasn't a point in Aquaman that I felt that wasn't like, there wasn't like a resting point, and if there was, it wasn't for that long. It was just the movie just kept going, and it kept me engaged basically.
True.
The same with this one. I'm not saying that this one's bad. This one is up there, but I prefer Aquaman over this one. But this one was still very good.
Go ahead, Mac.
How dare you?
Hey.
No, I'm just joking. That opinion is good, because I thought the same thing when I saw Aquaman. I was like, this is very engaging. It was action throughout. And when I came out of it, we did our review of Aquaman. I said that was fun. That was just it was a fun film.
Yeah.
And the reason why I will put this one at the top of my DC comic book movie.
Well, what's your top three? So Aquaman's your number two?
No.
Okay.
But the reason why I put it there is because the emotion with it. So I put Aquaman. I'm sorry. I put Shazam at my number one DC movie. I think it was the best. Second to that is Wonder Woman. I thought Wonder Woman was phenomenal. I had some issues with it. It kind of falls apart at the end, but I think overall there are some decisions that they could have made that would have made it good. If they would have put the same heart into Wonder Woman as they did into this, I think it would have been far and away one of the best superhero movies ever. Yeah. But they didn't, so it gets number two. And then I think it's a toss-up for me between Man of Steel and Aquaman.
I haven't seen Man of Steel in a while. I have to say.
I haven't done it in a while, but it's a toss-up between those two for me for the DC movie. So those are my three. Okay. And I think because I've seen Aquaman more recently, I'll give it the edge. But I feel like Man of Steel had probably a little bit more heart to it than Aquaman. So I want to give it that, but I want to give it the edge. But I've seen Aquaman more recently, so that's my 1, 2, 3. But Shazam is very far ahead of them. Wonder Woman could catch up. Maybe Wonder Woman 2 will, but
yeah,
that's where it stands. I actually think Shazam it fits into my Marvel realm, which I always put above DC.
So my last question.
I couldn't give mine before you had to come and cut it.
Yes, sorry, I'm too excited now. So one of the big things about Captain Marvel is his ability to be a problem if he's going against Superman. So do you guys get a feeling of that in this movie? Like, do you kind of get like, and now I can see why you'd be a problem for Superman.
So, you do get to see his power. See, I'm just like taking this over. I'm like, no, Shazam's my baby now. And as a matter of fact, I have a poster of Shazam in my bedroom. So, ladies, if you're ever there, you can view that. You can see why he's super powerful. And of course, the magic is what can hurt Superman. But there is a part in the movie where there's a kid playing with like toys, Batman and Superman, like ha playing, and then he sees Shazam, he sees Captain Marvel, and then he sees him do something super powerful. And is like, I'm throwing these down. Like, these aren't my superheroes anymore. I like that guy. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are going to do after watching this movie. They're going to see that and be like, I like Shazam. Shazam's my favorite DC superhero now. No longer is it Superman or Wonder Woman or whoever else or Batman. So, sorry, Patrick. What's your three? Because I can keep talking about this.
You know what? Shut me down. But you know what? I'm gonna leave you with this, and actually we'll leave it there.
Wait,
because I think we talk, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna leave it. It mirrors yours. I have Aquaman at 3. Okay. Good story, and again, you've all kind of made your comments on it, but I don't know if it's good as Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is one of my biggest. She's my top female superhero. Mm-hmm. The ending is where it fell apart. I agree with you. Yeah. So. Yeah. If I, battling it out with Shazam was a great film. So I have to give the edge because Wonder Woman fell apart. Shazam was a more complete film, and it was amazeballs. So Shazam is my number one, Wonder Woman number two, Aquaman number three. But to Shazam and Superman, what the film ended off. Spoilers, but and you're hearing all this. Yeah. I don't think they're going to face off against each other because at the very final moment of the film, we have Shazam and Aquaman sitting down at the middle school to have food with
Superman.
Shazam and Superman sitting together.
Here's the thing that blows my mind.
They're friends.
Here's the thing that blows my mind. They rushed out Justice League
to
fight with Avengers when had they put this movie out before Justice League, you would have had a much more interesting fight with Superman in that storyline where he was coming back and he was fighting, because there's no answer for Superman in Justice League, right? Where he's fighting Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. There's really no answer for him. This would have been a great answer in that movie. Like, then you have someone who equals him. So they kind of had to just ramrod a solution into Justice League because there's no one battling.
Isn't Superman like technically weaker? Again, he's like weak against magic, so that Shazam would be
and that would have made much more sense in the Justice League. You know, whatever you're doing with Superman having to fight the Justice League and being up against the Justice League, if you have a foil, someone who could actually match him in strength, it makes that movie so much better. Just. Come on, DC! Like you guys got a good.
They need to clean up what they did.
But sorry.
No, I was gonna say I didn't even add my third. I would say Man of Steel would be the third.
Okay.
So Aquaman, Shazam, Man of Steel.
Dope.
All right.
Yeah. Well, damn, that was a thorough and exciting.
I want to see it again. I need to see it again. And actually, I will be seeing it again. So, because you're watching the NRW, you know I also run Cost Love. When it premieres finally to everybody, we got the early access. If you live in the Northern Virginia area, Cost Love is teaming up with the Alamo Draft House Cinemas at the Alamo Woodbridge, as well as the Alamo Loudon Ashburn. We are doing a premiere event between 6 and 8. I'm going to have cosplayers out. I'm going to have some Shazam cosplayers. What? So you can actually take a picture with Shazam when you go see Shazam. So it's going to be real fun. And then as well as that Saturday as well. If you can't make it that Thursday night, go on Saturday between 1 and 3 at both Woodbridge and Loudon. And you can take a picture with Shazam and some other DC superheroes. So
I'm going to go check it out.
I'm going to see it again premiere weekend.
Oh, well, that brings up a good point. What are we giving our ranking for?
How
are we going to do it? So you guys know how we do it. We put our fist in. We either go down if we don't like it, up. If we like it sideways if we are undecided. So what are we going to do on this one?
1, 2, 3.
Bing. I'll put another one in there. I love this movie. Yeah, fisting it, man. Love this movie so much.
Oh yeah.
I think there's nothing left to say.
So in your probably top 3 of comic films of all time for you.
It's high up there. I mean, I think what Marvel has done with their MCU.
Probably the biggest film that could compete with a Marvel film.
I feel like it definitely competes, if not takes the place of some of those films. I identified with this very much so, especially with that whole thing with parents and feeling like you're belonging and all that type of thing. And I think a lot of people will. I think Shazam is going to jump ahead and people are going to get excited now about the DCEU. And I hope that they have Wonder Woman and Shazam lead it.
Yeah. DC needs to take notes from what they did with this.
Yeah, man. I think we should end it in the best way possible.
Say the word?
We should just say the word, man.
Say the word.
Yeah, so for the NRW, I am Glenn Lawrence.
Patrick Michael Strange.
Dale Luke.
And Shazam! Was that fun?
That was fun.
How long was that?
It was long.
Yeah.
It was long, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's a good review.
Good?
Yeah. So with that, I definitely, if you haven't already, I really need you to catch up to Doom Patrol.
Oh, really? Is it that
Yes.
good?
Oh, I need to finish that because I haven't finished.
Who
Yeah.
has a DCU link? That
Listen, I do.
And
Can I
I
use
in Warner Brothers. Yeah.
I need you to catch up because
And
going back
you know we can already watch the next one
Oh right.
right now too.
So if you could catch up, because going back to I just think DC's coming for that lunch money. They are coming for the lunch money.
Yeah.